Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger, and super pumped to be talking with my good friend, my buddy, mastermind, attendee, buddy, colleague. We're in the same mastermind group. Greg Tosi. He lives in Florida, and he happens to run my Facebook ads, which we'll dig into that, but we'll talk about his story and how he became just recently jumped into doing this full time on his as a full-time entrepreneur from his regular job. So we'll dig into that. We're excited to chat with you, Greg. Thanks so much for being on with me.
Hey, Ryan, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, cool. Guys, real quick before I forget, don't forget to grab my book, Streams of Income. It's free at streamsofincomeradio.com, and you can listen to all of the past episodes. Any links that we may talk about today will be there, so don't worry about having to write all that stuff down. So, Greg, again, thanks for being on. I appreciate it. We always start with people's stories. I find them fascinating, like how people got started in entrepreneurship, how you jumped into the side hustle of Facebook, how you learned Facebook. Whatever, man. Feel free to. How did you get started in all this?
Well, I had about a 20-year career in corporate in information technology. So I was So I was out in the corporate world, and I always had kind of a creative itch that I could never seem to satisfy. I was doing websites and databases and things like that, but I always had these ideas that seemed to stem, or originate from marketing. Yeah. There was really no room for that in my field. So over the course of time, I grew frustrated with that. And in about 2014, I heard Dan Miller's podcast, actually, 48 Days of the Work You Love, somebody we both know.
Yeah, great podcast, guys. 48 Days of the Work You Love. I highly recommend that one. That's one of the ones I listen to.
Yeah. And he talked about finding or creating work you love, similar to what you're talking about here. And I thought, goodness, you can actually create work you love or build something on the side. And of course, the internet had been around for a while, so maybe that was like the moment. But for me, that's when it clicked. And I thought, maybe this kind of going against the grain in this field that I'm in and not feeling fully satisfied, not being able to do marketing and kind of do my own thing. Maybe there's something to this that I need to start to look into how I can build or grow something of my own.
Yeah. Wow. How'd you do that? So walk us through what you were even interested in. What were you... there's so much to unpack right there. So first of all, what were you interested in, and how did you even think, obviously you got the idea from Dan of making something creative happen online. What was that process?
Yeah, well, I had been blogging for a little while, so I was familiar with WordPress and email marketing and a lot of the technologies that make up, marketing, along with Facebook ads and paid traffic and Google ads and things of that nature. And so I said, okay, I've already had some exposure to this. So let me take a look at, what I've already learned. I can probably teach people how to do this. So early on starting out, as many entrepreneurs do, I tried to do all the things. So I was doing, Facebook ads, WordPress, design and build and configuration, email marketing.
And you were doing these you were trying to find clients for those things?
Yeah. So probably 6 different areas initially. And I think it's a trap that, a lot of entrepreneurs get into initially, is they try to be all things. And there's this, preconceived notion. I don't know if that's the word for it, but if I offer 5 or 6 things, logic would say, okay, I'm going to be able to serve a whole lot more people. And what you end up doing, technology and marketing especially is changing at the speed of light these days. Yeah. It's exhausting to try to stay abreast of, 5 or 6 major platforms. And so for a couple of years, I really spun my wheels, doing all the things for all the people. But when I niched down to Facebook ads, that's when the business really started to get some attention, because people knew me as the Facebook ads guy. They said, we know what to go for. And so.
Wow, that's really good, because it is so easy to want to do everything for everybody. It's like that restaurant that you go to that serves pizza and tacos and fried chicken. You're like, well, what are they really good at? You know, what do they, it seems like the ones that do better are the ones that are like just a Mexican restaurant or just a pizza restaurant. That's great advice, guys. And think about usually it's something, the thing that ends up becoming a business, Greg, tell me if I'm wrong here, is it's usually something that you've overcome, you've learned something, it's some knowledge that you maybe have done it for yourself. A lot of times I see it's people who overcome some challenge, and they think, you know, I can do this for somebody else, teach somebody else how to do this. And that becomes the side business that they get into, right?
Yeah, it's usually something in plain sight. I think our mutual friend Brian Dixon says what's normal or known to us is magic to other people. So
yes,
really need to look at, gosh, what experience do you have? And it's tough to see sometimes. You know, the other great saying is it's tough to read your own label, you know, being inside the bottle per se.
Yes, I love that one.
Yeah, sometimes it takes close friends or confidants to say, you know what, you're great at this, and this is probably something you shouldn't pursue.
Yeah, I had Greg on the podcast and the radio show a few weeks back, and that's so awesome. You can't read your own label, guys. It's usually something that is comes super easy for you, but and so you think that because it's super easy for you think, well, that's easy for everybody. Nobody's going to care about, like Greg, for you, it'd be like Facebook ads. Everybody knows how to run Facebook ads. There's all these courses out there. I don't need to come out and do this. You know, it's already been done, and it's super easy for me to do it. So therefore it's easy for everybody else. And there's not a there's not a place for me, guys. That is so not true. Usually something that you're passionate about, something you're good at, there are people that will pay you for that knowledge or pay you to do it for them. And perfect example, I'm hiring Greg right now. He's been helping me out with my Facebook ads for quite a while now, for my business. And it's been huge. Guys, I don't want to sit and learn everything that he knows. I mean, could I? Sure. Yes, I could take the courses he's taken. I could be in the mastermind groups he's in. I could learn what he's learned if I like really applied myself, but that's not my thing. I would rather just say, Greg, you're the master. You do it for me. How much are you going to charge? And you know, and it's beautiful, beautiful situation. My goodness. So walk us through how you, when you were starting to do that, how long were you doing that before you started to think, you know, this might be time for me to think about doing this full time?
Well, after I niched down to Facebook ads, things really started to take off. Again, people knew me, you know, as a Facebook ads guy, and it was clear what my offering was. I wasn't the Swiss Army knife per se.
Yep.
So a year into that, I was getting enough momentum that, you know, I said, okay, this is starting to compete with my day job paycheck. Yeah. And at the same time, you know, I was married and we had 2 young kids. And so that early morning, oftentimes 4:30 to 6:30 in the morning, and then 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. at night, that was starting to conflict with our life. Yep. So I knew as the income came up and, you know, the time with family started to get crowded out a little bit, I knew that we needed to have a strategic time, you know, because I prioritize my family, you know, over everything, of course, certainly over work. I knew we had to have a strategic window. Okay, we're going to go hard at this for 6 months and know that we're going to sacrifice a little bit of time, but the big picture, the long term, that's going to open up more time and location and family freedom than I ever imagined.
I know Dan talks about when your side hustle is at 50% of your regular job. That's when he feels it's safe to leave that position, because then you can take that 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, whatever it is that your day job is taking up in time, apply that to your side hustle, and you will be able to make up that other 50% and most of the time exceed it. Where do you think, where were you in that?
I think I was just under 50% there. Okay. And we did something else that I love to talk about. And we
let's do it.
We lowered our standard of living. So years prior to that, we did the Dave Ramsey plan and got out of debt.
Yeah.
As we looked at, you know, our budgets and spreadsheets, and I'm the guy who has spreadsheets to track other spreadsheets. It's a sickness.
Which is good, guys. If you're hiring a Facebook ads guy, get somebody that's analytical like that, because there's so many data points and all that Greg's always telling me. He sends me these reports of like what's going on with my ads, and I'm like, I try to just look at it, but it just kind of goes over my head. Yes, I could sit there and try to digest it, but it kind of boggles my mind a little bit. So get somebody analytical like that.
There you go. Yeah. So as we started to do our projections and our spreadsheets, we said, okay, let's lower the standard of living a little bit, because if you're starting to look at what it's going to take to replace your income, gosh, it's easier to replace, for example, a $4,000 a month standard of living than it is at 8,000, than it is at 12,000.
Sure.
And, no matter where you are on that map, that's between you, and your wife. But we just thought, gosh, let's back things up a little bit. And that's going to give us even more flexibility and more freedom. And I love that we were able to do that by God's grace, and just, that set us up well.
That's awesome. We got about a minute left. So you just started, like, what areas did you look at to start cutting?
Gosh, I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I think we have the best restaurants around here. So,
okay.
Of course,
oh no, you cut out the food?
Well, not all of it, but we backed off it quite a bit. But eating out, isn't that everybody's?
It is.
Yeah, I mean, you can open the app on your phone and order.
Right. Oh, I do that. I even have it delivered to my house when I'm lazy, and that's it's way more expensive for sure. That's good. We'll dig into more of this in the next segment, and how you made that jump, how you had the guts to make that jump, because that's tough for many people to do that, to leave the quote safety of a regular job. So guys, we'll dig in more with Greg here in a minute. This is Ryan Rieger with Streams of Income Radio. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income Radio Show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. Grab my book. It's called Streams of Income, same name as this show. And it's about creating multiple streams of income, which Greg has done, is starting to do even more. Greg Tosi is our guest. By the way, you guys can get my book at streamsofincomeradio.com. Our guest today is my buddy Greg Tosi. He actually runs my Facebook ads for me. We've been talking with him about his decision pretty recently to jump from his full-time job into his quote side hustle, which is now his full-time business of running Facebook ads for people. We talked about how he was kind of doing all things for all his clients, the Google ads, the Facebook ads, the websites, WordPress, all of that. And his business didn't really start to go really well until he decided to niche down into that one thing, become known as the Facebook ads guy. So super cool, guys. You all probably have certain things that you can do well. You can probably do a lot of things really well, but it's so much better if you niche down and focus on, one thing, become known for that. So Greg, I know you're kind of new into being an entrepreneur full-time. You've been an entrepreneur for a long time. As far as like, this is your full-time thing. You said bye-bye to the day job. Walk us through that decision and some of the things that, I know that there's been days that since then you're like, oh man, was that the right thing to do? And some of the doubts that we all have when we're doing this, and that we don't have a quote safe job to fall back on. We can dig into that too, because I actually think it's safe for what you and I are doing. But let's talk about all that stuff.
Yeah. So back to the spreadsheets, as we were getting to a point where we were saying, okay, we're going to give this a go. This is trending in a good direction consistently. And we want this. We want to give a go for this and try to get this freedom for us and the family. We set a date. I think it was maybe 9 months out. And we decided we were going to stick to that. Okay. We were on the trajectory to save up an emergency fund that would allow us some flexibility there for the slower months, which I definitely want to talk about, because it's a change from getting the same paycheck, the same dollar amount every 2 weeks when you're not. Gosh, that's an adjustment after 20 years. And oftentimes it's a wonderful blessing and surprise. And for my industry, August is very slow because of back to school. And I didn't know that as a first-time entrepreneur last year.
Really? Like with Facebook ads, people aren't starting up new campaigns, or what?
They're still running them, but I think I work with coaches, online course creators, membership site providers, people who are doing digital products and stuff. And I think many are parents, and so they're planning their launches in July or September, not late August when kids are going back to school.
Sure. That makes sense.
Yeah, we set that date, and then, as that approached, we continued to track our expenses and the trajectory on things.
Awesome.
Had a good group of guys in that mastermind that we're in, people who are trusted advisors, people praying for me, helping me out on that. And, for anybody who's listening, and I believe if God has brought you to this podcast and stirred this dream in your heart, there's an element of faith in this, step out and do it. But I think entrepreneurship, especially in the hands of Christ followers, is a hugely powerful thing, because, aren't we the people that should be marked with the great, healthy, wonderful families? And aren't we the people that should be marked with the best generosity and entrepreneurship, and the time and location freedom that it allows is like fuel on the fire there. I mean, I have flexibility. I have breakfast and lunch with my wife and kids during the
I
day.
love it. Yeah.
And we're able to give in a way we weren't able to before. And oh my gosh, I want that for everybody who has that dream in their heart. So if the Lord's given you like, a desire for entrepreneurship, you follow that and feel that out and plan and see how that goes.
That's so good. There's so much to talk about that. So how would you advise somebody that has that itch in there and down deep inside, they know they want to do more? What would you advise them on? Go back to yourself, a few years ago. How did they start making those steps? What do they take courses? Do they get involved in masterminds? What would you tell somebody?
I'm a fan of the personality profile, the DISC test.
Okay. Yeah.
That'll give you kind of a high level, view into what areas you might be strong in versus not. But I was looking at things that I like to do. I like to generate leads for people because ultimately that's putting money in their pocket.
Yeah.
So look at what you're good at. Have somebody else maybe speak into your life and quote, read the label for you and affirm what giftings you have. And then start to narrow that down and figure out what's something that I could do. And, I got hung up on this. It doesn't have to be your forever job. 20 years from now, I'm probably not going to be doing Facebook ads, but I love doing it now.
Sure.
I love generating leads for people, but pick something that you like, pick something that aligns with your gifting, your gift set, and go with that.
Yeah. How would you advise them to get started? Like, how'd you get that first client?
As far as getting started, I would take a course on that. And then, really it starts with putting yourself out there. So create a Facebook page. I'm partial to that platform. It certainly has some downsides,
Sure.
But gosh, it's arguably the most powerful advertising platform out there. Put a page out there. I had a post on my business page the other day. Create a Facebook business page, put your first post on there and share it to your personal wall. That's your start of the business in 30 minutes. And
that's good. You said create a Facebook page, not a group, right? The actual page. And so let's pretend this is me, and then let's say that I'm interested in, let's say I'm really, really good at, what's something, I'm good at building websites. I'm not, but let's pretend for a moment, that I'm really good at that. And I want to test this out. I think maybe there might be people out there willing to pay me for that. So you would tell me to get a Facebook page, and would it be my name, or do I make up a business name, or what?
Gosh, that's been widely debated. I'm a fan of, the personal brand.
Okay.
My name isn't fancy or clever. It's Greg Tosi Marketing. Probably due to lack of creativity on my part, but I know that name will stick with me. So if in 10 years I evolve to Facebook ads and, whatever, public speaking about X, Y, and Z, that brand name travels with me. If it was, XYZ marketing, people aren't going to know me for that.
Sure. Okay. So we'll call it Ryan Rieger's websites, or Ryan Rieger Incorporated. So I create guys, this is actionable content right here that you guys can all do right now, even while you're listening to this. So go to Facebook. Now, this is different than a personal profile, right?
Correct. Facebook business page.
Yeah. So take a Facebook business page, give it a name, and guys, don't worry about too much about this, because this can be changed at any time. So I have people, Greg, in my audience that think, golly, they struggle for hours and hours, days or weeks without taking action because they're worried about their business name, or, doing everything exactly correct and has to be perfect before you can, and the DISC, I guess that's a C, before they take action, it has to be perfect. So guys, in this instance, give yourself a name, use your own name, that's fine, but a Facebook business page, create a post and then share it to your current Facebook profile, your personal one, and let people know about it. Say, hey, join me over here. I'm doing websites. I feel, I'm really good at that. I enjoy doing that. Do you know anybody that needs a website built? Send them here. Simple as that.
Yeah. And say, hey, I'm scheduling, 15-minute free introductory calls to talk through what your objectives are in building a website, and drop a link, Calendly or one of these free scheduling things, and get on
Calendly,
and get on the Zoom software that you and I are using right now. That's free for 45-minute meetings. So right there, you have 3 free tools.
That's right.
To launch your business.
So Facebook to create your business page, let people know about it. You're going to have to let people know that you exist and that you're ready to do business, because guys, who knows? You may have met somebody or talked to somebody at church last week and you had no idea that they were needed a website built. And they say, oh my gosh, Ryan does websites. Great. I want to call him because I know him. I already know him. I already trust him. I had no idea he did websites or was interested in doing websites. Then he mentioned Calendly, Calendly, or you can set up it's a scheduling tool, or you can send a link and people can pick on your calendar these increments of time. You can set it up 15, 30, 45, an hour, whatever you want. Greg suggested 15, which is great because then you're not spending hours and hours with somebody trying to decide whether they're going to be a fit for you. Do these quick, short calls, evaluate whether there's a fit there, and then take them further. If you feel like, yeah, I really can help this person, let's put together some type of contract for them, or maybe you have a longer call after that. What would you suggest after that? If you and I are talking and I think, yeah, I could really help Greg out with his website.
Yeah, after that initial call, I would quote them for the price to do that. And to your earlier question, if you're looking to get that case study, do it at a discounted rate initially.
Sure.
As far as a portfolio or something, if you're doing website design, certainly your own website should look good. So you would point them to ryanrieger.com and say, here's some previous work.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Good stuff. Guys, this is actionable stuff right here that you all can do. If you have an idea, now is the best time, in my opinion, in the history of the world to build a business. It doesn't cost you anything to do what we just talked about. All of these tools are completely free. So you're kind of, in a way, dipping your toe into the water and deciding, is this even for me? And I really believe that with action comes clarity. As you take action, and that's not my quote, I learned that from probably somebody in the Eagles group, in Dan's group. But when you start taking action, then the Lord can direct those steps and point you in the right direction. Guys, we're going to dig into more of this stuff because this is super, super awesome. Chatting with Greg Tosi about how he started his business and how you guys can do that too. This is Ryan Rieger with Streams of Income Radio. We will be right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income Radio Show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger, and we're chatting with my good friend, my Facebook ads marketing guru, Greg Tosi. He's the one that helps me with my ads. It's guys, it's working. Since having him do these ads for me, my book sales have just starting to really climb, getting new leads into my business, which is huge. I am all about helping people create multiple streams of income, and I want to get that word out. And so Greg, I'm just super thankful to you for helping me get this message out. I really appreciate it. You've been a blessing to me in my business, and thanks for being on with me again.
Yeah, it's fun to be here. It's fun to recap this and talk about that. And gosh, I appreciate the shout out.
Of course. So in the last segment, we were chatting and had no idea we were going to necessarily go down this direction. And every episode, I have a few questions I definitely want to get to. But it usually just organic things that a guest will say something and it'll trigger something like, oh, that is really interesting. Let's unpack that or go down that rabbit trail and see what's down there. But we talked about actionable steps that somebody can take. And so we pretended that I'm the website guy, that I know how to do websites. Will you recap those first few things that somebody can do that has a business idea to start dipping their toe into that water?
Yeah, it's dead simple. You just create a Facebook business page, fill out the basic details in there, and create a first post and share it over to your personal profile. Now, some people who are listening to this will say it's grossly oversimplified, but you mentioned people who are high C's, which I'm guilty of being one, and we can get stuck in that planning, analysis, paralysis mode, right, where we try to get it perfect, but we never end up shipping it. So I use that example because, gosh, it's literally the minimum viable product, and getting that imperfect piece of content out there. And I'm preaching to myself as I'm saying this, getting that imperfect piece of content out there shared to your personal page or whatever basic steps we're describing here is better than sitting on an idea and not sharing it.
Yeah. That's so good, guys. There are people out there. I believe, Greg, that God has given you that gift of what you have to be a blessing to people. And it's evident that what you've done has been a blessing to me. But the fact that you have your own business, if you were still in your IT job, I may not even know you. And I would not have, mean, certainly I could find somebody else to do my Facebook ads. There's a lot of people out there that do what you do, but I had a relationship with you. I trusted you. And so that made me like, yes, of course I'm going to go with you. But your business is a blessing to people. And guys, the idea that you have that's stirring in your heart is for somebody else. And yes, you can get paid from that too. And you can profit from that. And I want, you know what? Greg, I'm glad you don't do these ads for free for me, because if you said, Ryan, I'm going to run your campaigns for you for free. Well, I'd be like, at first I'd probably be like, that's awesome. Yay. Very cool. So glad my buddy's hooking me up. But there's going to be a point when he's looking at all of his clients, and he's looking at the ones that, you know, that need the most attention, and the ones that need the most attention, they're going to be those ones that, the ones that get his attention are the ones that are paying him. And I want his best work. And that's why I am so super thrilled to be able to give him money every month to be able to run my ads for me. Because it, number one, means I don't have to think about it. He's the expert. I'd much rather pay him. And also the fact that I'm paying him means that he's going to take care of me essentially. If I was doing this, if he was doing it for free for me, I would, you know, that may work okay for a few weeks, but there will be a point in time where he's going to have to make decisions on where his time goes. And naturally, you know, he's got to feed his family. So I'm glad you charge for it. But so as people are getting started in their business, you said it's super simple. Just start with a Facebook profile or Facebook business page, announce it onto their personal profile, get a Calendly link set up, and then even maybe free software like Zoom, and start telling the world about it, right? That simple?
Definitely. Yeah. And then the next steps are going to be, you know, what type of networking can you get into? Is there a WordPress or website type meetup close to you? Of course, getting into Facebook groups, which is a crowded space, but done right, you can set yourself apart by answering questions in there and just cheering people on and helping people out. Gosh, I mean, there's so many places to market yourself nowadays. It's just, you know, the high C's and the planners like me don't end up doing it because we're waiting for perfect more often.
So guys, we also were both, like he mentioned in the first segment, we both are friends and follow Dan Miller. He's the one that wrote the book 48 Days to the Work You Love. And Greg, you're on his advisory team for the Eagles group. Is that right?
Yes.
And so that, guys, that's a really cool group that is helpful for people starting businesses. 48 Days Eagles. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But Dan talks about his very first version of 48 Days of the Work You Love. And I believe it was just a binder that he would go to like Kinko's and make copies of. And he personally shipped when he got orders on his website, he personally would box those up and ship them off. Is that, I think I remember remembering that right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's with the minimum viable product, guys. It doesn't have to be super fancy and beautiful. If your content is good, just get it out there. You can always tweak it. Like especially with if you write your own book and you publish it, for example, on Amazon, you can update it any time that you want to. It's not like, oh, this is done and I'll have to wait years to update it. It can be revised the next day if you find a mistake. It doesn't mean put out something that you're not proud of, but just get that content out there because people need it. So, man, minimum viable product. That is so good, especially for people who like tend to overanalyze things and want them to be perfect. So what's that next step? So they're starting to get clients. You said they start networking and getting in groups.
Yeah. Networking, getting into groups, being strategic about, you know, where your audience is. Is your audience the type of people that are going to be on LinkedIn? Are they going to be on Facebook? Be strategic about that. And, you know, as you service people well, you'll get referrals. So between that and doing some marketing yourself, things will begin to grow.
Absolutely. Well, I found you through the mastermind group. We'd eventually probably could have done business together either way because I knew you from the 48 Days Eagles group. But because we were in that mastermind group and connected there, it obviously made me much more comfortable saying, yeah, you're my guy. Let's do this. So, and that works in the Eagles group. I see people that get business from that group because they post about what they do, or they go in there and are helpful. They're answering questions. So guys, I would tell you also if you were building websites for people, think about, like Greg said, who is your ideal audience? Where are they hanging out online? Go into those places. And if they happen to be in Facebook, find groups that have those people in them and start serving that audience, start answering questions, see where you can start helping. And people naturally will start like, who's that Greg Tosi guy? Seems like he knows a lot about Facebook ads. Let's send him a PM, a private message, and say, hey, I'm trying to do this. Can you help me? And that's naturally going to turn into business many times. So just serve people well, right?
Absolutely. That's the bottom line. It's all about relationships. It truly is.
It really is. And you go to a lot of conferences and stuff too?
I do. With young kids, I don't travel as much, but anything, fortunately, we get a lot of them here in Florida over in Orlando.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little easier. So.
You do. You had the podcast one a few months ago.
Yep.
That you went to.
Yep.
I needed to be at that one. I wasn't able to though, because I had another event right after that. So yeah, go to conferences, get involved, meet people, go to meetups locally. And it will happen. Your business will start to happen as you keep going down that road.
Yeah. And another point along that lines that just kind of jogged my memory, a lot of people in your life, when they hear, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to start an online business, they'll look at you kind of weird. So that makes this this fellowship, or this being with people who get it, other online entrepreneurs or aspiring online entrepreneurs. Gosh, it is so important to be linked in with those people.
Yes.
Because your family and your friends will be like, what are you talking about? Because
why'd you leave your safe job, Greg?
Right. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the society teaches you to get a degree and get a safe job, put in your 40 years and retire. And slowly starting to wake up that doesn't work. Pensions are very, very rare. And there isn't such a thing as a safe job anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And that's why, Ryan, I love what you're doing, multiple streams of income. As I said on the break, we are taught to diversify our investment portfolios, but we don't diversify our income streams. And so a layoff or a big life event like that, you cut off the main artery of your income, and it's a tragic, shock to the system, and it's a major catastrophe for a family.
Yeah. Oh, it's so true. My friend Jim Cockrum, he's been on the show a couple times now. He says that we're all entrepreneurs, whether you like it or not. We're all business owners. People who have a full-time job, they're in business too. They're in business for themselves, and they have one customer. It's their boss. So if that boss decides, hey, that one customer decides they're done with them, you've lost your job, and it's catastrophic, like you just said. But for you, I mean, how many clients do you have?
I would say around 12 right now.
Yeah. So if one of them decided, Greg, I think that, I'm done, or just for whatever reason, they close their business and you're down to 11, that's not going to hurt you that much. You can always go out and find another client to make up for that. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So you essentially have 12 plus streams of income because of all those people paying you. And those are on retainer.
They are.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, I am tied largely into Facebook. And so, with, I don't know how many billions of 1.5 billion daily users or whatever the stat is, I should know it better. It's not going to go away anytime soon, but multiple income streams is something that I need to be looking at too, apart from Facebook.
Awesome. Guys, we'll dig into this more with Greg when we come right back. Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. Grab my book called Streams of Income also at streamsofincomeradio.com. And we're having an awesome conversation with my friend, Greg Tosi, who is a Facebook ads expert. He runs my ads for me. I got to know him from a mastermind group I'm in. So guys, it's all about relationships. In that mastermind, I got to know him, like him, trust him. And when I was ready to make a decision on who to hire to run my ads for me, well, naturally I went to Greg. So get involved with people. If you're trying to start a business, grow a business, it is all about those relationships. You've got to know people. The best referral in the world, or the best marketing in the world, is word of mouth. Facebook ads are great, and Greg has definitely helped me grow my business, but there's nothing like somebody saying, hey, you need to get that book, Streams of Income. I read it. It's great. That's the best marketing for folks like us. And for Greg, the best marketing is when somebody gets him on a podcast and say, hey, come to use him. So I'm honored to be able to do that for you, Greg, and hopefully get some people that need to grow their business that way. We were talking about the income streams and the, just diversifying. Let's pick up back there with that whole diversification of income. You said people don't usually talk about that too much.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, again, we're taught to diversify our portfolio, our investment portfolio, in case one stock or one mutual fund tanks.
Yeah.
Well, why doesn't that apply to the money that we're bringing in? Because
Right.
unfortunately, I've seen people laid off of work to where it was a catastrophe.
Hmm.
You cut off all their income, and I just think the school of thought on this needs to change, and the paradigm needs to change to where a layoff or a job loss isn't such a catastrophic event for people because they
Hmm.
have 2 or 3 or 4 different streams of income coming in.
Yeah. How does somebody even start? I mean, especially if you're working a job right now, you got one.
Mhm.
So the next one that they do could be the side hustle we talked about with starting up a Facebook business page and starting to get the word out. How do they go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4? How would you advise somebody to branch out?
Yeah, I feel strongly about this. So I talked about niching down in the beginning, and it is
Uh-huh.
important to get that one big stone rolling. The one thing that you're known for, get that out the door, get that momentum going, get
Hmm.
that stabilized. Allow that thing to underwrite your new endeavors. So as your business grows and you automate and systematize and maybe hire some help,
Hmm.
virtual assistants, it's going to free up a little bit of time for you. And
Yeah.
so I think that is the time to start to look at multiple income streams. Allow that main job to underwrite your new endeavors. Don't
Yeah.
try to create multiple income streams on day one
Mm.
before you've quit your day job.
Mm. So what's that look like for somebody that's doing what you do? So it's not like you have a Facebook ads business. Oh, and you also manage a restaurant. Oh, and then on the weekends you have a lemonade stand with your kids. It's not those things that are completely unrelated to each other, right? Don't they usually somehow kind of flow together?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic point, too. I look at things in the periphery of what I'm already doing. I'm already talking to people about sales funnels. I'm
Hmm.
already talking to people about business coaching. For instance, I have people who come to me trying to start an online business, and they say, how do I know which funnel service to use? How do I know which email marketing to use? Which website platform should I use?
Yeah,
And I mean, Ryan, there's a million different options in this business. So
sure.
I look at those people, and that's another group of people that I'm serving, people who come into this and are so confused by all the options. And I
Yeah,
say, come with me. I'm going to tell you what you need to use and get you out the door quick.
yeah.
So again, look at what you're already doing. So I'm doing funnels, I'm doing business consulting. Those are closely related to the Facebook ads core business.
Yeah, so all kinds of guys, usually it's not something that it's completely unrelated. I mean, it shouldn't be. So with Greg, there's all kinds of things he could do to expand his streams of income. He could have, a Facebook marketing mastermind group where he's leading people through this. He has done a course that flows in perfect line with Facebook ads. He obviously does the ads for people too, runs people's accounts. He has an agency for that. They're all intertwined with what his current thing, which is Facebook ads, and he's the Facebook guy, and so you're able to create multiple streams from that. I liken it to a tree with a trunk, and so the trunk would be your Facebook ads, and from the branches might be your agency that you have. Over here's a course, over here's your training, teaching, the coaching and consulting, helping people figure out what platforms to use, walking them through that process, but it all is closely related.
Mhm.
So cool. Let's talk about Facebook. We obviously said you're the Facebook ads guy, so teach us some Facebook stuff, especially if you're growing a business. Let's say that somebody's not quite ready to hire somebody. What's some advice you would give them for doing it themselves?
Yeah. So anybody who has a Facebook business page has certainly been faced with the prompting to boost a post.
Yeah,
Facebook is constantly asking you to boost posts, and essentially
yeah,
what that is putting some money behind the post to make it get seen by more people.
yep. I get
And
ads for that. Like when I post a picture of my son, hey, your ads, your that picture is getting so much engagement. You should post it. Like, I don't want to do that. That's not going to help me out.
and they're constantly bombarding people with, do you want to boost this post?
Right.
And it's because people do it. And unfortunately, the default options you have for boosting a post are pretty lousy.
Mm,
Most people will just kind of accept, everybody in the US, I'm going to send this post to everybody in the US. Well, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of people are in the US, but it's going to be tough to do a $5 ad and find your ideal customer,
right.
if you're selling a very specific kind of widget.
Sure.
You know, so what I tell people to start to look at is creating audiences,
Hmm.
specific audiences. So where do my people live? What websites do they follow? What are their interests? So you start to narrow down gender, age, things of that nature to try to get your ad a little closer to the people you want to
Yeah.
reach. You can do that when you boost a post, so I would encourage anybody who has a Facebook business page, start to look at the options on boosting a post. For me, I want to reach people who are course creators. So if I boosted a post on my page, I would target people who follow Amy Porterfield or, some of the names and big names in the marketing industry.
That's awesome. And so like if I sold cat products, I actually could, with Facebook ads, can't you get super targeted and say, I want to target men ages 45 through 48 who love cats?
You could. And the thing that makes Facebook so powerful is we've given them so much data by virtue of the pages we like, the websites we visit. I mean, it is remarkable how specific of a customer avatar I can send ads to. Now, boosting is very limited to that. You have to hire a geek like me to go into the back end of Facebook and really build out that specific audience, and then the creative to get to those people to cause them to convert and buy the cat food or buy the you can't buy cats on Facebook, but you can buy cat food.
Right. Is it so? One another tip I might think that might be kind of high level and something anybody can do is if you already have an email list or a list of people with their email addresses, then you can create an audience out of that. Is that right?
You can upload an email list to Facebook. They'll create an audience out of that. So if we create an ad for cats, we're just going to stick with the cat theme. We can send that ad to that audience.
Okay. That's awesome, because Facebook connects their email address to their Facebook account. And so let's say I have a new product for cat lovers. I can hit them in their email address and their email boxes, but I can also send an ad to those same people.
We can, and we can do that to people who have visited your website in the last 180 days. So we call that a warm audience. In other words, people who already know of you and are already checking you out.
Yeah.
People who like your Facebook page. And gosh, I mean, it would take an entire another segment to go into all the different options.
Sure. And there's something called lookalike audiences where let's say I have an email list of 1,000 people who are my ideal people. Well, with Facebook ads, you can have them take a lookalike audience. Who are the other people that are like that same list? Is that right?
Yeah. So say you have a list of 1,000 previous purchasers of your product. I upload that to Facebook and say, give me a lookalike of that. Facebook's going to go out into the wild and bring back an audience. You can change the size, but of 1 million people who most closely match the people you uploaded based on behaviors.
That's crazy.
Purchasing and things of that nature. And lookalike audiences are always a top performer in the campaigns that I run. So again, they say data is the new gold because it's what every company is after, and it's what makes Facebook such a crazy powerful advertising platform.
Wow. We got 1 minute and 20 seconds left. Tell folks about that don't want to do it themselves, or rather just hire you. How can they find you, and what do you do for them?
Well, you can find me at gregtosi.com, GREGT like in Tom, OSI.com. I'd be happy to do an introductory call like I mentioned in our Facebook sample before. I serve brick and mortar businesses as well as online businesses, course creators, membership sites. We promote live events. Facebook ads are great for that. So, I mean, truly, there's so many people on the platform, and the capabilities are remarkable. So it's a fun platform to advertise on, and wildly effective.
Yeah. And he's doing Instagram ads for me as well. And guys, it totally works. I can see, it's funny. There's days that I sell a ton of books, and there's days that I sell hardly any, but it's fun. I don't know why the algorithm works that way, or why, I don't know. Greg's the master. That's why I hire him. So definitely, guys, go to gregtosi.com if you're interested in talking to him about how he can help you with your campaigns. He does a great job. Couldn't say anything better than that. And if the link will be at my website, streamsofincomeradio.com. Greg, thanks so much for doing this with me, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Awesome, guys. We will see you in the next episode. You're listening to Streams of Income Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. See you next time.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.